Hey, welcome to another quick video on utilizing PowerPoint. This is a bit more technical. What I'm going to show you is how I kind of cleaned up the same presentation. So first we're going to look at the side of these slides, and here you can see this one is hidden, so you can actually do on the right hand side and hide slide. Sometimes for some audiences you might want to hide certain slides, and other audiences you want to show them. In this case I wanted to hide that one. It's actually an activity that I want to put in the online module. Another thing that you can see here is that we've got some heading slides. I've deliberately broken the presentation up with some key headings, what I'm going to talk about next. So it's kind of chunked, just looking at it. The dark blue ones are chunked. One of the key things that I've done on the side here is I've made all these slides the same format. And if I right click here, I've set up a couple of layouts, header and dot points, which is the one that I'm going to use most of the time. So all of these have been set up with a number of standard layouts. Now I'm going to show you how to do that, which I've only learned recently. So you go to View, Slide Masters, and in here you can actually set your slides up. And if you do that at the beginning of a presentation, or if you do that once for your employer, then a lot of it is set and you don't have to worry about it. So let's have a look. This one we set at 36 or 44, depending on what you prefer. This one is 18, so I probably want to have it a little bit bigger. Let's make it 24, and let's make this 44 actually. So, and then you can also add the font here, the sizes, and you can definitely see you can go different levels. Unlikely that you'll do that because it goes against the argument of having too much on the slide and too small text. But you only need a handful of templates that you can then use the whole way through. Okay, now I'm going to go through the slides from start to finish. You already know the content. I'm just going to show you the difference of how that now looks. So the slides again, you know the content. I'm just going to show you how the slides have changed. Okay, from kind of New Times Roman to a long topic. We made it a different rounder font, straight down line topic. These ones remain the same. Hopefully that's semi-engaging. This is a subtopic, so we're chunking straight away. Instead of having slides like this, I've made it one. I don't use colors because we're talking about font. And the only thing that I've changed here is bold. I made it actually bold. So there's a lot of congruence. Font size, instead of having this one, I actually changed it to this. So from smaller to larger, and the only reason why Times New Roman was in here is just to highlight the case that it is harder to read, the type of font as well as the size. Bullet points left at the same, so you can basically have a bit of a narration about bullet points. Color schemes, so this looked different before, so now it's simplified and the two slides are basically put together because it adds a few points on why the argument is for a white background. Okay, color emphasis. So now we have probably not good contrasting colors, dark blue and dark red, but even though a person might be colorblind, they still know there's emphasis because it's underscored rather than in a harder to read format. Then we got that slide that was yellow, and we're actually still making a point, and then we're also literally using contrast here. Next topic, that by PowerPoint. This was the text in the online module, and that was all put on a slide. If it were to be presented in a slide instead of a narration, this is the same information. So you can see we're really sticking to that advice of, key points, and ideally less than seven words. People know at a glance what we're talking about, the philosophies, the history, and we're talking about learning, education. Okay, so this was our example of objectives, and that was what not to do. definitely have objectives. So I've broken them down in 3 slides. So this was something that was a bit tricky in terms of what it asked students to do and the way it was presented. So this is changed to an activity. Order the usefulness of the following lecture activities. People know exactly what to do. And then we can have a Mentimeter and a code. So from the PowerPoint, they're actually leaving and they can actually use these topics to put them in an order. Yeah, QR code. Okay, this is the same. Oh, the content is the same. I really like this. We just tidied it up a tiny bit. So this is the heading or subheading key ID, and then things that break it down. Called it, in terms of the next chunk, graphics and cool stuff. So we're talking about graphics. This is how the other slide looked like. Useful information, but I kind of changed it to a similar message, but in the better format. And I've added a slide here because in this day and age, we really want to know, well, where and how do I get the free, royalty-free graphics? And then here are the links for it. We've seen this photo, which is arguing about imagery as well as contrast. So instead of that, let's do this. You can have text above a graphic, text on a graphic, but there needs to be a solid contrast. Animation remains the same, so horrible noise. Because it really has a solid point. And I think this is the right size now because we've used the template. So the last slide didn't change much, but as an exception, actually made the bottom bigger than the rest of the dot points because we want to highlight this, reiterate your main point, and then how will you use PowerPoint for good. Bear in mind, you don't have to know this like the back of your hand. It's just important that you know that you can do things, and whether you use PowerPoint or not, basically really think about how you're presenting information and put yourself in the shoes of the people that are going to be exposed to that information that are not familiar with it.